Welcome to the 2019 Canadian University Ultimate Championships. I'm Andrew Batchelor, the Competition Director for Ultimate Canada. Welcome to our Captain's Meeting, our second attempt at a virtual Captain's Meeting. So first message is follow Ultimate Canada on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram for updates. The text messaging service will be used once again to send updates to teams, so ensure at most 2 people per team are signed up. It's very important that you follow these sources so that all the important emergency updates can be sent to all teams as best possible, including weather delays and major schedule changes. Our thunder policy is the same as last year. If you hear 3 horns, that means I have heard thunder and it is time to immediately seek shelter. There's shelter in the fire hall as well as at the concourse back by the fields 20 to 24. Your cars are also an excellent source of shelter. And once you're at the shelter, then follow our social media and the text messaging service to get the updates about how to restart games. Hey, Field 2B is our live streamed field. If you find yourselves in one of these games, the commentators will come find you to confirm your jersey numbers. You need a light and a dark matching numbered jerseys. Failure to have these means that you have to wear the Ultimate Canada pinnies. All your extra layers for warmth need to be worn underneath your jerseys so that the numbers can still be clearly seen while on the live stream. No swearing while on the live stream. Hey, medical will arrive at 7:15 each day. Tapings, if you have your own tape, will be free. Otherwise, they can sell you a roll of tape for $5. When you arrive in the morning, arrive with a full water bottle. It is very difficult for us to keep the water jugs full on the sidelines if after putting them down before the first games, they are immediately emptied by all the team that hadn't filled their water bottles at the hotel or at their friend's house the night before. You need to arrive with full water bottles so that we can maintain a proper level of water at all sidelines. Eat breakfast before you come to the fields. Field food will not be put out until after the games have begun. It'll be too late to have breakfast after games have begun, so eat breakfast before you come. And we're going to put the food away before the end of the games at the last day, so you're going to have to go find your own supper. Lunch trucks will arrive at 11 a.m. and they'll stay until 3 p.m. each day. You can purchase lunch from the food trucks. There is no alcohol permitted at the site. Clean your sidelines up after every game. It is very important that we keep this site clean so we can continue to come back to it. It is very difficult to find a site like this in Canada with 2 turf fields and so many grass fields around it for us to hold an enormous tournament like CUUC. So please, we need to respect it. Keep the sidelines clear. Clean up your banana peels, your dirty socks, your old tape. None of that stays on the sideline. That all goes in the trash. You have to report your scores after every game. It's a big part of my job, going around chasing down teams that haven't submitted their scores. If we can get those submitted after every game by the captains, it'll just make everything go much smoother for me. Friday qualifier Div 1 are going to use the paper system that we have in the past. Okay, you'll probably recognize this here from the past. So again, you'll see at the top here, you're going to write your team name, your opponent team name, your score, your opponent's score, and then fill out the 5 categories of spirit. Read them carefully and fill them out based on the category, where 2 is a normal game. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 10 is a normal game. I want to see lots and lots of those. 3s are reserved for exceptionals, 1s are reserved for poor, and then 4s and 0s are incredible and terrible. So those require special comments that explain why you've given such a high or such a low score. They should be rare and few and far between. Anything with all 4s and all 0s is completely unacceptable and will disqualify your team from the spirit. Okay. Div 2 will also be having the same questions and the same forms, but we're intending to use the same app that we used in 2017. This is a small web interface where on your phone so that you can enter the scores from the sideline. No need to run papers back to Disc Central. And for those who don't have data on their phones, the City of Brampton provides free Wi-Fi throughout the park, so there's no need to worry about that. Additionally, if you're in Division 1, you will have a stat sheet to sign. So on this stat sheet, you will fill in the volunteer will have filled in the team name, home team, and away team, the final score for the home team, the final score for the away team, and then signatures for the home team and the away team. Make sure home matches up and away matches up with what you saw. Too many times I get score sheets back where the score is reversed and captains didn't even notice and they just signed it away. They would have lost the game if I hadn't caught it and gone back and showed them that they were wrong. So please, on your spirit sheets and on your score sheets, make sure the team names are correct. I don't want reverse scores. Okay. Observers. We have observers available all weekend, but not for all games. We don't have enough observers to do all that. Our head observer, again, is going to be Linda Kudo. Requests for observers can be sent to me, batch@canadianultimate.com. That's BATCH@canadianultimate.com. Or you can bring them to Disc Central as far ahead of time as possible. If you come and ask for observers right before your game's about to start, it's going to be very tough for us to find some observers for you. Observers are in charge of active line calls. That includes offsides. So the receiving team needs to have a point of contact on the line, and the pulling team needs to be entirely behind the line. They will have active in and out of bounds calls, but not up-down. They'll be active in and out of the end zone calls and active force out fouls, where that means that if you're about to catch a disc in bounds and you get forced out of bounds by a foul, the observers will call that inbounds by force out. The observers will also help with timing. They will time they'll time all the caps, all the time between points, the length of timeouts, which is 70 seconds for the team with possession and 20 seconds additionally for the defense to set up. They'll time halftime, which is 5 minutes. They'll also measure delay of games. Delay of game is when the disc is on the ground and one team is taking too long to get to the disc. They will begin by signaling 10 seconds with one fist in the air, and they'll count down with arm chops. Or if the disc is way out of bounds and coming back, you get 20 seconds to bring the disc in, and they'll continue counting with arm chops. The observers will be using the misconduct system of technical fouls, blue cards, yellow cards, and red cards. You can ask observers for assistance and rulings on the field. You can ask observers for rules clarification. So be clear what you want when you talk to an observer during your game. Only one player needs to want to go to the observer for help, and any rulings made by observers are final. Lastly, I want to indicate that we're going to use the whiff-diff signal for pick instead of the USAU rules, and that is 2 arms up like that, straight up to the side, making 90-degree corners. You can use that to signal pick, and then the observers will know what that means. And finally, make sure you cleat the sidelines perfectly clear. We don't want anybody on your teams or the observers tripping on auditors that are on the field. There will be buffer lines painted on pretty much every field, so let's use them. Keep everything back well behind the buffer line. Then the players can use the buffer line to walk up and down, leaving that gap for the observers to use as their channel between the field and the sideline. Okay, tournament rules. The games are to either 13 or 15. Check the schedule to make sure you know which kind of game you're playing. All Div 1 games are played to 15 points. There is no need to win by 2. There is no overtime. You have 2 timeouts per half per team. They are unaffected by cap. There is no soft cap. The time on the schedule is a hard cap. What the hard cap means is when the hard cap horn goes, finish the point in progress. Only if it's tied do you play one more, otherwise the game is over. There's going to be a halftime cap. This year it's going to be at 40 minutes. For those of you that aren't familiar with a halftime cap, what that means is after 40 minutes have been played, finish the point in progress. If half hasn't already been taken, then you're going to, and it's not half after the conclusion of that point, add 1 to the leading score, and that will be your new halftime target. For example, if the score is 4-3 after 40 minutes is played, and you finish the point, now the score is 5-3, half will be taken at 6. So continue to play your first half normally until some team gets to 6. Contact call is in effect. If there's a shared sideline, then there's only 3 players per team allowed on that shared sideline. The exception is that if there are observers on either game, then there are no players per team on that sideline. Okay, games start and end with the horn. There are no exceptions to this. We have to keep all games going on the same schedule to make sure that all games are the same length and end at the appropriate amount of time so that they start the next games with the same amount of rest. Forfeits are not allowed unless it's the last game of the tournament for both teams. Okay. Last year, I had a team that defaulted their last game on Saturday. They thought it was a meaningless pool game, but little did they know that they were disqualified from all games on Sunday because of that. They didn't get to come back on Sunday to play any games because they defaulted their last game on Saturday. So don't forfeit any games unless you want to be disqualified from the rest of the tournament. Okay, and then remember spirit of the game. This is a very critical part of our sport. We can't play the game without spirit of the game, which basically means that nobody is intentionally cheating. Okay? It is critical to do this within the game, but I want to point out that it's equally important to the other rules of our sport as well, the ones that aren't exactly on the field. This is a university series, and it is only intended for legit university students. I don't want any non-students playing any points here. You need to be a legitimate student and you need to be able to prove it while at this tournament. We will be doing some spot checks, especially for Div 2 teams who haven't had to submit their proofs of enrollment. So have your student cards with you because we will be coming around to ask for proof of studentship. Players must also be on rosters. It's not allowed to have players that aren't on a roster on the field. Okay? This is not only an important rule for fairness, but it's also an important rule for liability reasons. Okay? Deadlines for submitting paperwork and registration need to be anticipated and respected. We're pretty much past all the deadlines for this year, and this is more of a message for next year, but I don't want to have to make exceptions anymore for people that miss deadlines. I want all captains and future captains to anticipate and respect all deadlines. Next point, be nice to volunteers. That falls under spirit of the game. They're there spending their weekend out in the cold with you guys, so let's be nice to them. Another point is to be nice and respectful towards your opponents. I know that both teams are really trying to win this game, but we still need to be respectful because we're all going to be playing this game with each other for a long time, and it just won't be fun if we all just start hating each other. So keep your celebrations after you score a point respectful. Keep them within your team. Celebrate with your team. No need to mock opponents. Okay, and with that, I want to say remember to sign in to the comments so that I can see that all the teams have read this message. And if you're captains, thank you for watching, but I think it would also be great if all the players in your team learned all these rules and had all the same expectations as you guys. So not only tell these messages to your players, but why don't you just ask them to watch the video as well so that they can all get the same message and we can all have the same expectations for this weekend. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all in Brampton, and have a nice day.